Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarterfan Podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports, business, and life. I'm Joe. This is Barry. What's going on, Barry?
I don't know, Joe. I think they found out what we were doing. I keep running into people who want to talk about sports and more sports. Got a friend of mine. He's going to Brazil in 2 weeks to watch Kansas City play the Chargers.
Hmm.
And we had
Wow.
like a 5 minute conversation that turned into almost an hour conversation. And every time I tried to leave, he kept wanting to talk more sports. So I
Mm-hmm.
turned him on to the podcast. So yeah, he's gonna come back with some really interesting information. Going to
Okay.
Brazil. That's what's up.
Okay. But
How you
tonight
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Good,
good.
good.
So,
Exciting times, exciting times.
yes, they are. I'm going to talk about Bud Grant.
You mean the Minnesota
Yes,
coach?
the Vikings coach. Yes.
Oh my
So,
goodness, he put what?
yeah. Okay, he was born Harry Peter Grant Jr. and his mother called him Buddy Boy, and that turned into just Bud. So now he was,
Wow, who would have ever
yeah,
known?
yeah, man. Now he was diagnosed with polio as a kid, and
Really?
yeah, so a doctor suggested that he play sports to strengthen his legs.
Okay.
So during his late teens and college years, he played organized baseball in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and he played football and basketball along with baseball. So now, after the high school, he joined the Navy during World War II, and he was assigned to the Great Lakes Naval Training Station in Illinois, and he played on the football team that was coached by Paul Brown.
Wow.
Yeah. So he went to the University of Minnesota after being discharged, and he played football, earning an All Big Ten Conference honors twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And after college, he was picked in the 1950 draft by the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minneapolis Lakers. So,
Wow.
yeah. So he played 2 seasons with the Lakers, and he was a member of the 1950 championship team.
Look
And
at
that,
this.
and that team also included George Mikan.
Yeah, number 99 in the back.
Mm-hmm. So in 51, he decided to play football for the Eagles. And his first year, he played defensive end and led the team in sacks.
Wow.
And in his second year, he switched to offense and played wide receiver. And he was ranked second in receiving yardage.
It's an athlete.
Yeah. So at the end of his contract with the Eagles, he played for the Winnipeg Bombers in the CFL. So now
Mm.
he holds the record for having 5 interceptions in one playoff game.
Wow.
Yeah, that was in 53. So then in 57, he became the head coach of the Blue Bombers, and he coached them until 66, leading them to 4 Grey Cup championships.
Mm.
Now, he became the Vikings head coach in 67, replacing Norm Van Brocklin. And during his tenure as a Vikings coach, he was very strict. He made them practice out in the cold. So because he said he wanted to get them to get used to the cold, and he wouldn't allow heaters on the sidelines because he said it was a distraction. So now in 69, he led the Vikings to the first NFC championship and their first Super Bowl appearance.
Mm.
Now, a lot of people have this misconception that Fran Tarkenton played in all 4 of those Super Bowls. He didn't. He played in 3 of them. Joe Kapp played in the first one.
Oh wow. Joe
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah. That was the one against Kansas City in Super Bowl 4. And that became a trend with them as they lost Super Bowls 8, 9, and 11. But he was the first coach to lead his team to 4 Super Bowls. Now, he retired in 83, and he came back in 85, and then he retired again for good. And he was one of 2 coaches to lead his team to a Grey Cup and a Super Bowl. The other one was Marv Levy. So he died in 2023 at the age of 95.
Yeah, he lived pretty long.
Yeah. And his coaching tree includes Pete Carroll, Jerry Burns, Buddy Ryan, and Neil Armstrong.
Wow.
So the man, he did a lot. He did a lot,
Yeah.
And he lived to a ripe old age. Gotta give him that.
95. Wow.
Yeah. So speaking of the Lakers, what's going on with the Lakers?
Well, for sale.
Yeah.
10 billion with a B.
Yeah.
And people been chasing me down, harassing me, Joe, like, Barry, what's up? I said, 10 billion is hard to say no to. It's hard.
Yeah.
The Bucks family's been running that franchise for a very, very long time. Like a long time.
Yeah. Since 79. Since 79.
Yeah. So, I said, I take what Mark Cuban said a year ago in an interview when he sold majority of his stake, which was the game and the business of the game has changed.
Right.
And it's outside his expertise.
Right.
So he just relegated himself as a fan, owner, person. And I think that's what the Buses have seen, that it's becoming increasingly difficult to manage all the things you have to manage to a franchise. It's more than what's on the floor. There's contracts, there's caps, there's, trades, and and then it's the facility, it's name, image, and likeness. There's a lot of moving parts. It's really not even a national game anymore. It's really a global game.
Yes, it is.
And that requires a certain level of expertise. So there's a whole learning curve. And you think about 79, and at the stage you're at in life, do you really want to really kind of start all over again?
Yeah.
And with $10 billion check on the table. So you kind of say, well, when am I ever going to live my life?
Well, interestingly enough, Jeannie Buss is going to stay on and run the team.
Yeah, she's going to play a role like Mark Cuban, but she's going to get her hands off of that day to day. Jeannie got to be late 60s.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right? So
around there.
She's, when she's got to have a life at some point. So, I think that's what makes sense. And the interesting thing about it is the person who bought him owns the Dodgers.
Right. Yes.
Right. So you look at what he's done. That Dodger situation is just totally something different. It's an international brand. And people say, well, why would you say that? I said, who's their hottest commodity?
Japanese players. So, yeah.
So they got this whole pipeline with America. It's a global game. So now you have Ohtani, and he's just tearing it up. And so you're going to probably see a whole lot more Japanese players in the league than we've had ever before because of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
They're creating a pipeline. They are clearly creating a pipeline.
Yes, they are. And well, speaking of that, the Yankees. Now, I think what's wrong with the Yankees are, in my opinion, too much analytics. Okay, because I listened to an interview with a former Yankee player, and he was saying that their analytics department will not concede that if you have a player on a hot streak hitting, that he shouldn't get a rest. Even if he's on a hot streak, you got to sit him down, which is totally asinine to me.
Well, they don't know baseball, and neither does Steinbrenner Jr.
No, but they're the ones telling them what to do, and
Well,
Boone is following their playbook.
yeah. Well, what else are you gonna do?
I mean,
He writes the checks.
yeah, that's the sad part, because you got managers out there like a Dave Roberts who use analytics, but not for the be all end all. You know,
Well, again, Joe, what does Junior know about baseball? I'm not saying anything disparaging, and not that he has to be his dad, but
his dad at least surrounded himself with baseball people.
well,
You
that
know,
would make sense. That's why he's not doing it, because that doesn't make him look too strong,
yeah.
right? I own the team, but it's insecurities.
Yeah, well, to them it's just a paycheck. To George, it was a passion.
And a paycheck. George was very much about the paycheck, in my humble opinion. But the paycheck was tied to performance, as it should be. That's why they won so many.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to get the best player. I'm going to pay him what most people can't afford to or would pay. But for sure, you're not on vacation here.
No,
You're going to earn that money.
That's right. That's for sure. And that's
You're
what I miss about them.
Yeah.
So
you're going to earn it. And if you're not earning it, you're going to hear it.
Right.
You're going to hear it.
And nowadays they're saying it's okay to strike out, 100 times. And because with their logic, and I can't for the life of me understand this, they're saying that a strikeout is better than an infield hit.
Yeah, like a 3-pointer is better than a 2-point inside 5 feet from the rim. These are people talking who've never played the game. They don't understand the game. They're what I call not smarter fans. They're the opposite.
That's what I call the geek squad.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you really had somebody who knew what they were doing and understood the game, it could be a tremendous tool.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have a lot of people who they don't know anything about sports.
No. And speaking of that, a quick note: we lost Dave Parker.
Yeah, the Cobra.
Yes.
Man.
Yes, and he's going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed because he was been struggling with some health issues, and I wish they would have made it happen. I don't know why they wait so long. They could have made it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before he passed.
Yeah, because he was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2012.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, he was a lifetime 290 hitter.
Yep.
He won 2 championships, one with the Pirates, one with the A's. He won 2 batting titles, an MVP. He was a bad man.
No, the Cobra was the truth.
And had a cannon for an arm.
What position did he play?
Right field.
Yeah.
Right field. Yeah.
Dave was the truth. I just, like Coach Prime says, why do we have to wait for somebody to die to give them their flowers?
I know.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So that's, rest in peace, Mr. Parker.
Absolutely. Rest in power. What else you got?
Sports is a family business.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, I mean, you look at, the Milwaukee Bucks owner sold, Mark Cuban sold. There's really a new guard coming into ownership of sports franchises. And, the money's just obscene on a whole new level. And I'm going to predict something. I'm going to predict that smaller market teams are going to become the attraction.
Could be.
And the reason why I say that is because for the player, let me say that for the player, because playing in big markets comes with a lot of distractions that can hurt
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You know, and because of social media, it's not really, you don't really have to be in a big market to get your money, to get all the things like you were in a big market.
Yeah.
And I predict that we're going to see that, and you're going to see guys. I think OKC, from what I see from their superstar and how he talks and how he operates, they could go. They could go on a run. They're
Yeah.
young enough, and he seems to be very clear. And OKC is a small market, but a
Yeah.
very passionate market. Oklahoma is a very passionate market,
Oh, no doubt.
and
No
so they
doubt.
really can have the best of both worlds. So that's
Yeah.
just what I wanted to say about family business. I mean,
Mm.
it becomes a multiplier because it's the tax situation, small market, rabid fans. So you know you're gonna, if you put a product out there, you're gonna sell out. People are gonna
Mm.
come. It's not too crazy like a big market. I mean, I've never seen a stadium where the people organize themselves to wear white t-shirts or blue t-shirts. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
crazy to me. I was like, how did they get them to do that? But if you're in a
Hey.
smaller market with rabid fans, you can pull stuff like that. All section white, all section. It was crazy to me. I was like,
Yeah.
how do you even figure that out?
Wow. It's funny. Basketball, it's getting crazy because Malik Beasley is being investigated on allegations of gambling related to the NBA games and prop bets.
As
So
what?
proposition bets. They're bets like on stats. A prominent U.S. sports book detected unusually high betting interest in his statistics. So now they're investigating him for that. And he
Listen,
he was just about to sign a $42 million contract, and now that's put on hold because of this investigation.
I don't. I guess these guys haven't really figured out yet that because of social media, there's really nothing you can do secretly that can't be found out.
No.
Everything is being taped, everything is being recorded, everything's on camera. So I don't know if someone has any, but they grew up with this technology attached to them. And
Mm,
I just don't think they mentally compute that you're being tracked all the time.
exactly. Exactly. You know, Porter's
Mm.
out of the league because of it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what's going on. Their lack of, and it's just never, they just, it's sad, and I'm going to talk about it in a little while, but it's sad that these guys are not learning how to make this money last a long time.
Mm, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Well, as you know, uh, the Celtics moved KP to the Hawks.
the who.
Uh, Porzingis, the Celtics traded him, sent him to the Hawks.
Yeah, yeah, they need to make room for something else. I don't know what, but
Well, yeah, exactly, because they sent Drew Holiday to Portland.
they sent Drew Holiday to Portland.
Yes.
Oh, they ain't
Yeah.
winning nothing.
No, they're dumping salaries of what they're doing.
They ain't
You
winning
know,
nothing.
you know
So
now,
they're in a rebuild.
so to speak, yeah, because Tatum's going to be done. He's done for the season next season. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
they're in a rebuild. Okay.
yeah. So now LeBron opted in on his 52.6 million.
Yeah, he's that's allowing him to probably make half a billion.
Yeah, well, he's going to sit back and see how things go.
No, he's gonna wait till Bronny gets his game up, and he's gonna. I guarantee he tries to hold on until Bryce. Because
Or,
Bryce ain't playing but 1 year. I
or
guarantee
maybe
you.
or maybe go somewhere else to get a championship. You know.
Anything's possible with LeBron.
Exactly. That's what his agent said. Right now, they're just looking
Anything's
at everything.
I just don't see a team. I don't see a fit yet
No.
that it would make sense.
So we'll see. But so taxes and Ndamukong Suh.
Man, Joe, listen, I saw one of the best presentations. It had Ndamukong Suh and this guy, Carlton, I can't remember his last name, but he's a very astute tax strategist. And I'm going to give you the high points. The high points was how Suh figured out while playing to become a registered real estate agent to offset his taxes on his W-2 playing. So he's like between meetings, days off, so forth and so on. I tell my coaches, so they never clashed, and I made sure I was doing my job at the highest level. But I knew because of the tax code, if I just became disciplined and secured those 750 hours, I could significantly reduce my tax situation. Because people don't realize it's an 18-game season. Whatever you make is squeezed into 18 checks.
That's right.
And he just was really transparent. Guy asked him, you hear athletes get all these crazy numbers. He says, just chop those numbers in half because Uncle Sam gets his half. So you're left to work with what's left over. Exactly. And you got to be smart about it. And he says, I've done some dumb things and bottles and VIP, but as I began to educate myself while I was playing, and I got mentors and I got smarter people and I learned from them and just was a sponge, it through my career, it allowed me to make smart decisions with my money again, to make it last as long as possible.
Yeah.
And he brought up another point, and my parents are both real estate people, teachers, and father did something else, professionally, but they all had their real estate. So they weren't kind of depending on him to support them. And they were very adamant, no, this is your money. You work for it, save, best, take care of your kids, And he partnered with his sister who put her dental career on hold to help him during his playing days and paid her. And they even lived together. He said, we had some big house. She was on one side, I'm on the other side. We never saw each other, but it's just taking, your circle. And I think that's what hurts a lot of athletes. They don't know how to put together a circle, and they usually get bad circles where they're supporting 4 or 5 grown adults, which makes absolutely no sense.
Well, we'll have to hold off on that.
Yeah, I know. It's getting juicy there.
Yeah, and we got some interviews coming up.
We do. Some exciting stuff is coming. Stay tuned. And as we always say,
stay in the game.
Smarterfan podcast coming at you guys. Something new. Stay tuned. It's getting exciting and more and more and more.
All
Take
right,
care.
everybody.
Be well.
Good
Have
night.
a good evening, buddy.
All right, you too.
Smarterfan.
Ooh.